Hello, all you beautiful people out there, and welcome to my channel. Today is my 44th birthday. Yes, 44th. No problem saying that. Uh, let's see. So, first, I want to address Matt Powell. I don't know whether he'll be watching or not. Sometimes he does watch. If you put like Matt Powell in the description, like in the not the description, the metadata, sometimes he'll watch. So Matt, if you're watching, this is for you, buddy. Um, Not that you're really my buddy, but please, I'm concerned for you. So you can take this advice, you cannot take this advice. I don't really care. Um, But I heard that you had moved down to Kent's theme park, Dinosaur Adventureland. Matt, as much as I don't like you, and I don't, but I don't want you getting hurt either. Please, please leave that compound before something bad happens to you, or your wife, or your children. Please. Now it's up to you. Yeah, I do care about you because you're a human being. Uh, anyway, that's all I've got to say to you, Matt. Uh, so, like I said, today's my birthday. 44th birthday, people. Getting on up there. Uh, so I thought I'd do something that I wanted to do today. Um, Wanted to talk a little bit about the pyramids because I've heard some people say uh, these are kind of like the way out there individuals, that the pyramids were made by aliens because people 5,000 years ago, and yes, the pyramids are about 5,000 years old, at least some of them are. Um, I've I've heard that some way out there individuals have said that people 5,000 years ago couldn't figure out how to do something like build the pyramids. Well, I'm here to tell you they absolutely could, because we are not talking about stupid people. People have always been smart. There have always been some stupid people too, but there have always been smart people. And that's why we are where we are today. Um, and no, they did not have the wheel back when the pyramids were built, but they handled that by building um, ramps, like ramps from sand, uh, that they would haul the bricks up. So if you want to know how they did that, it wasn't some alien technology, mind game tricks, Jedi tricks, whatever you want to say. It was not that. They did it very down to earth. You know, they had ramps, people. So, anyway, that that was probably how Stonehenge was built also, but I don't know that for a fact. Okay, I don't know that for a fact, but that's my guess. Alrighty. So, um, let's start off with the mastaba, uh, because pyramids did not start out like pyramids. They didn't come full blown from the head of Zeus. Okay, they just didn't. Um, they were built up over time, and this right here is what is called a mastaba. Um, and these were where the earlier kings were buried underneath. They were buried underneath the mastaba. Um, Now, before the United Kingdom of the Old Kingdom, the very first time Egypt was united, um, there was an Upper Egypt and a Lower Egypt. And Lower Egypt was in the north and Upper Egypt was in the south. I know it doesn't make much sense, but that's how they divided it, Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt. So anyway, so you have periods called kingdoms, and then you have periods called intermediate periods, and then the pre-dynastic period. Now, the pre-dynastic period and the intermediate periods were basically when the United Kingdom fell apart, and then Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt were ruled by separate rulers. So, um, so these were the mastabas, and these weren't just for kings; they were for royalty also. Um, so this is the first step toward the pyramids. Okay. So that is a mastaba. Now, Djoser was the first Djoser was the first pharaoh of a united Egypt. He united Upper and Lower Egypt. He was the first one to do that. So he had an architect named Imhotep, and Imhotep had a brilliant idea. This is the step pyramid. Now, how the step pyramid came about was Imhotep had the brilliant idea of, since Djoser was king of the or pharaoh of a united Egypt, he needed a bigger and better tomb. So Imhotep came to the king and he said, "You know what? You need a bigger tomb than just a mastaba. So why don't we put mastabas on top of each other, which is how the step pyramid came about. So the step pyramid is just a bunch of mastabas on top of each other. You can see a mastaba right here, and then a smaller mastaba here, and then a smaller mastaba here, and a smaller mastaba here, and a smaller mastaba here, and a smaller mastaba here. So that was the beginning of the pyramids. And so began the Pyramid Age with Djoser. So then came the competition among the pharaohs about, well, who can build the better pyramid, right? Okay, so somebody had the brilliant idea of, okay, well, we can top this. We can top the step pyramid. And how we're going to do that is we're going to fill in the gaps between the mastabas. So here you see what is called the bent pyramid. And what happened was they were filling in the sides of the mastabas, but they made it too steep right here at the beginning. So they had to taper off at the top, which is why it's bent like this. So it was really trial and error. It, like I said, it wasn't full blown from the head of Zeus or Horus, and I'll get to Horus in a minute, but it wasn't full blown from the head of Horus. You can tell they were just, you know, trying to feel their way through it. So that is the bent pyramid. And I got one more to show you, which is the true pyramid. So one more time. And we have this, which is actually Khafre's pyramid. This was not the first true pyramid. Can't remember which one was the first true pyramid, but this is Khafre's pyramid. And so this is a true pyramid, and as you can see, they got their act together and figured out how to slope it, make the slopes of the pyramid such that they didn't have to, quote unquote, bend it at the top like they did with the bent pyramid. So they learned fairly quickly. Okay. So let's talk about religion. And since I'm on the topic of ancient Egypt, I figured I'd talk about ancient Egyptian religion. Okay, so the ancient Egyptians had an earth god named Geb, and a sky goddess named Nut. N-U-T. And Geb and Nut had children who were, of course, gods, because the children of gods are gods. So they had Osiris, Isis, Nephthys, and Seth. And so Osiris marries uh, Isis. And now Isis has a bunch of magic. And so Osiris is like the head deity. Um, and Seth didn't like this. He's like, I don't like it that Osiris is the head honcho. So what he decides to do is he knows his sister Isis has magic, and he doesn't want her to use her magic to bring Osiris back to life after he kills him. So what Seth does is he cuts Osiris. So um, now before this, um, Osiris and Isis had a child named Horus, and we'll get to that in a minute. But so Isis, she gathers um, Osiris together and wraps him um, together in bandages, which is where the Egyptians get the idea of a mummy, and then brings Osiris back by her magic. But there's a problem. Osiris is now, well, he's alive, but he's also dead. So he can't be the god of the living anymore. He can't be the god of the living anymore because gods have to abide by rules too. So the god of the living, that title then goes to his son Horus. And Horus then gives his god power to the pharaohs. So basically what the in the old kingdom, what happened was the Egyptians in the old kingdom thought that their pharaoh was actually a living god. They felt that their pharaoh was the incarnation of Horus, who is the living god. Okay, so and then when one pharaoh passed, uh, then he went to the land of the dead to be with his ancestors, particularly Osiris. So that's where the idea of wrapping the king as a mummy comes from, um, and then preserving him forever. Um, that was a very big thing for ancient Egyptian religion. You had to have your body. You know, if you were going to live forever in the land of the dead, you had to have your body. It was just, you know, something they believed. So, as long as you had your body, which is why they preserved the body the way they did, then, you could live forever. If for any reason your body was destroyed, then, you weren't in the land of the dead, you were just dead. So, Anyway, that's how that came about. Um, so anyway, and then of course, um, even though the dead pharaoh was in the land of the dead, he still needed to be fed. Um, so that's where the priests of the dead pharaohs come in. Um, so anyway, all of this is going on, right? And so so in the old kingdom, um what happened was the it was the pharaoh's job to make sure that the Nile flooded, because this was the Nile's jewel. Egypt was the gift of the Nile. And, as long as the Nile flooded, everything was okay. And Egypt could have their crops and it wouldn't turn into a desert. Um, and everything was hunky dory. As long as the Nile flooded. Um, what happened was one year the Nile didn't flood, and this was a long time from Djoser. So we're talking several generations from when Egypt was united under Djoser. So one year the Nile did not flood, and so the Egyptians were like, well, our um, Pharaoh can't be Horus anymore, or Horus took his spirit from the Pharaoh because he's displeased with us for some reason. Not sure what their reasoning was, but anyway, um, so that was the end of the Old Kingdom, and then started the first intermediate period, where again you have Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt being reigned over by separate kings or priests, or whatever you want to say. I'm not too familiar with the intermediate period, so you'll have to forgive me. But anyway, so that brought an end to the Old Kingdom. Was the Nile stopped flooding its banks, and even after uh, the Middle Kingdom came into being and Egypt was united again under one pharaoh, uh, never again was the pharaoh considered a god. Um, that was out the window, because, the pharaoh had failed in his job of making the Nile flood. So, and then you go to the Middle Kingdom, and then the Middle Kingdom collapses at some point, and then you have the second intermediate period, and then you have the New Kingdom at some point. So I'm not very familiar with that part of ancient Egyptian history. I'm more familiar with the Old Kingdom. And so basically, that's what happened. All right. So now going back to Osiris, I want you to think about this. Osiris was a dying and a rising god. A dying and a rising god. And I don't know whether Osiris was the first dying and rising god. I mean, Osiris is pretty old. You know, um, Mesopotamia could have older dying and rising gods. Not too familiar with Mesopotamian myths, um, except the Epic of Gilgamesh, of course. But at any rate, Osiris was a dying and rising god. Think about that. What other religion has a dying and rising god? Oh, yeah, Christianity has a dying and rising God. That is, if you're not an Arian Christian. If you're an Arian Christian, then, not a dying and a rising God. But for Trinitarians, yeah, dying and rising God. And so the dying and rising God, and it doesn't stop with Osiris and then picks up again with Jesus. You see this all throughout ancient religions. There's almost always, can't say always, but almost always, there's almost always a dying and a rising God. Almost always. So now, Christianity borrowed a lot of stuff from a lot of different religions. I mean, a lot of different religions. And I mean, basically, Christianity, when it came about, was not a, they didn't introduce anything new. Christianity did not introduce anything new. It was basically, um, we're taken from this religion, 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 and so on and so forth. You know, um, so a question you need to ask yourself is, uh, why do Christians have baptism? Baptism is not Christian. Okay? Baptism is not Christian. The Jews were doing this before Jesus came on the scene. Why do you think John the Baptist is called the Baptist? Because he baptized. That's what the Essenes did. The Essenes baptized. And, you know, so it could be said that Jesus was an Essene. I don't believe that Jesus was, a real person. But anyway, I'm just pretending that he is. Um, and so, uh, um, so, and then also you had uh, some Roman paganism also baptized their converts. And what about the quote unquote Lord's Supper? That's also pagan. The bread and the wine, they're also pagan. Look into it for yourself. I will do a video on this. But if you don't believe me, look into it for yourself. Christianity did not introduce the bread and the wine. The bread and the wine were already concepts by the time Christianity began. So Christianity brings nothing new to the table. All it does is bring a bunch of different concepts from a bunch of different religions together. And probably the oldest concept is the dying and the rising God. So, Christians, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Um, you've been believing a lie your whole life, you know. And I understand. I understand. I believed it for 40 years. And yeah, I'm still mad about it. Still angry that I was lied to. But when you get to the point where you're like, I want the truth, I want to believe truth, I don't want to believe things just because I want to believe things. You know, that's that's your starting point. When you get to the point where you're like, you know what, I really want to know whether I believe the truth or not, instead of my pastor told me, or my parents told me, or my bishop told me. Because that's not going to work. That's not your belief. It's just something you've been taught to believe. So find out what you believe. Because, hear me out, if what you believe is the truth, then you have nothing to fear. If what you believe is the truth, you have nothing to fear. On Saturday Livestream, I'm going through the Bible. Now, Christians may not want to go into my Saturday Livestream. I tend to curse a lot. But, you know, it's neither here nor there. But, hey, Native, thank you. Um, read your Bible. And I know you Christians are saying, wait a minute, I thought she was an atheist. Yeah, I am an atheist. And I'm telling you to read your Bible. You know how I became an atheist? Wasn't just one thing. I will tell you that. It wasn't just one thing that made me decide to be an atheist. I'm an agnostic atheist, by the way. More than one thing convinced me that I should not believe in a God. That's different than I believe in no gods. One is the agnostic position, the other is the Gnostic position. So I do not believe there is a God. is agnostic atheism. I believe there is no God is Gnostic atheism, just so you know. But if you are a Christian, you need to read your Bible. And I'll tell you why. Most atheists are atheists because they've read their Bible. Now, I'm not saying that after you read the Bible, I expect you to become atheist. I can't tell you what to do. I can't tell you what to believe. That is up to you. But I will tell you this. If what you believe is the truth, it should stand up to scrutiny and it should stand up to questioning. Do not be afraid to question your beliefs. Because if what you believe is true, there's nothing to fear now, is there? Your pastors, your teachers, your bishops, your parents, they don't want you questioning. But you should question. You should question everything. You should question everything. Not just your beliefs about God. I mean, if you are a creationist, you should question creationism. Because I'm here to tell you, creationism, especially 6,000 year creationism, is not true. And I can prove that. And people have proven that. Look into both sides of the story. Look into evolution. You already know the creationism side. Don't waste your time on the creationism side because you already know it. Look into evolution. And when I say look into evolution, I'm not talking about those stupid Kent Hovind tapes or AIG crap. I'm talking about the science of evolution. I'm talking about read what the scientists say about evolution, not what the creationists want you to believe. Because believe me, when I was a young earth creationist, I thought, no joke, I thought, hey, Satan's little helper, I thought that evolution taught that we came from a rock. That's what I thought. I literally thought that. Brainwash. Brainwash. It does not teach that. Evolution does not teach that. Evolution does not teach that. And the Big Bang, which some young earth creationists think is evolution, which it's not. It's not. It's a separate theory. The Big Bang does not teach that we came from nothing. You need to look into that too. abiogenesis, which is how life started to begin with. There's not much research on abiogenesis, mainly because it's hard to research. There's some research out there. Go get some. Go look at what it says. But let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. The creationists are going to say life cannot be made from non-life. That's what the creationists are going to say. Really? Do you know what we are? Do you know what animals in general are? We are made up of atoms. Atoms are not alive. So, how can creationists sit there and say that we cannot be made of non living material when we are literally made from non living atoms and non living chemicals? And let me go back to the evolution teaches we came from a rock thing for just a little bit. What do you think dust is? Hey, Godless Sewing. Thank you. What do you think dust is? I'm referring to the Genesis story, by the way, just in case that flew over your head. Dust is pulverized rock. That's all it is. It's pulverized rock. Huh. So technically, biblical literalists, you believe we come from rocks. Literally. Abiogenesis does not teach that. Never has. Never will. Look into it. Because, like I said, if you believe what is true, you don't have anything to worry about. You think the theory of evolution is heresy? And by the way, a scientific theory is not a vernacular theory, okay? A theory in science is one that has stood the test of time. It is made of facts and laws. The complete opposite of what theory is in the vernacular. Hi, the Afro-humanist. Thank you. So stop saying that. Stop saying that, please. Goodness. Stop saying that. Um anyway, let's see what else. Why would you think that studying a heresy is going to make you lose faith if you believe the truth. Why? You shouldn't. If what you believe is true, study this stuff. Science is not going to challenge your faith unless you are a biblical literalist. Okay? I'm just going to put that out there right now. But don't you want to know the truth? And like I said, if what you believe is true, you have nothing to worry about. Study your Bible. Study evolution. Look up abiogenesis. Look up the Big Bang. You will find that what you have been taught about these theories, these scientific theories that have stood the test of time, you will find that these theories are not what creationists are trying to tell you they are. They're just not. I was deceived. I was deceived, but now I'm not anymore. And you know what? You shouldn't be lied to. You shouldn't be lied to. That's why I have my channel. I hate it when people are being lied to. And I hate it when people lie. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Thank you for coming. Thank you for the birthday wishes. And if you have not subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. You can join the channel for 99 cents a month. There's also other tiers, but the lowest tier is 99 cents a month. And, there's also links in the description. I didn't use um, any any sources except what I had on the screen, which was the pyramids, and the people who are here right now weren't here when I started, and I was talking about ancient Egypt and the pyramids and all that. So anyway, have a wonderful it's morning where I am. Very early morning, 12:04 a.m. But anyway, have a wonderful, wonderful day, everyone. And yeah, it is past my birthday, you know, but that's okay. I wanted to come on and be with my friends. So have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.